welcome to the Monday Motivation Spotlight, another weekly episode where we spotlight people making a difference in Israel. I'm Lesley Kaplan, and we've been doing this since October 7th, shortly after October 7th, where we created this podcast to give inspiration to others, as well as to give a following to entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and people making a difference. So today, our special spotlight is one of Israel's newest entrepreneurs. Enter and welcome to Jacky Sherman, otherwise known as Jacky's 5-Minute Kitchen. As a mother of 5 children navigating celiac and allergies, Jacky has turned her dream of helping others with what she calls mealtime madness into 5-minute yumminess. She recently launched Jacky's 5-Minute Kitchen, where she guides parents on how to prepare delicious meals in under 5 minutes. Sounds great, right? And giving them back time to what she says truly matters in their lives. So sit back and enjoy and meet Jacky Sherman of Jacky's 5-Minute Kitchen. So Jacky, welcome to our Monday Motivation Spotlight. I'm so excited to have you here as a guest. We've already partnered together, and I'm proud to say, although we haven't met in person, but we've met online a couple of times where I hosted you. We'll talk about it a little bit later. I hosted you and partnered with you with the social impact project, Impact IL, that I started last year. So welcome to the Monday Motivation Spotlight. It's a delight. Let's shoot. You said you were from London, your husband was from Leeds, and you met in Manchester. So let's start there.
Okay, so I met my husband, who I made Celiac with, Dan, at university. And it's a nice story, actually. It was my 20th birthday, and he was a student that didn't go out much, but we have a wonderful mutual friend called Sonia, who brought him out to my birthday party that was in like a horrible club in Manchester. Anyway, that was the first time we met. And I just got back from my gap year in Israel, where I was a volunteer and attended a program with Habon Draw. That was my youth movement. And I met him and I was like, oh, I'm Zionist. And he was like, I'm Zionist too. I said, oh, I know this great kibbutz. Do you want to get married there? Anyway, we did get married there. I'd actually visited the kibbutz during my gap year because as a Habonim kibbutz, it's called Kibbutz Sorah, they had a wedding garden. And when we visited the kibbutz, I'd never seen anything like it. In the UK, you get married in a synagogue or in a hall or in a hotel. And I was bowled over by this place. I thought, I really want to get married here one day. Anyway, I told him all of this, and he was very agreeable. And we got together. And on my 21st birthday, he actually brought me to Israel as a surprise. And we visited the kibbutz, and we met up with a very good friend of ours called Mandy, who had organized this whole Aliyah weekend when I was on my Shnat year. And anyway, we got married there. We got married there a couple of years later. We took a 6-month honeymoon. We went to India and Nepal and Thailand. We met loads of Israelis. We loved it. We did Kabbalat Shabbat with them. It was really a wonderful experience.
Just to say, by the way, I can picture your whole wedding and everything because I know the kibbutz, I know people on the kibbutz, and I've also been to weddings myself on the kibbutz. I can actually picture how it was and why you were attracted to it.
Yeah, so actually when it was our 20th, so we just celebrated our 25th or 26th wedding anniversary, but when it was our 20th wedding anniversary, we actually had a party for everyone on the kibbutz. We did it in the Pundak. They pulled down the wedding garden, like the glass tent there, because they didn't have a license or something. Anyway, we had this big disco party and it was brilliant. And we had friends that we've made since we've lived here, family. It was really wonderful, actually. And I feel very fortunate. Yeah.
Amazing. So let's talk even before that. Growing up as a Jew in the UK, were you aware of your Judaism? What connection did you have to Israel?
I grew up in a very traditional Jewish household, and my youth movement was Habonim, which is a left-wing organization. And it was with them that I went on Israel tour and then on Shnat. And I went to a non-Jewish school, never had any anti-Semitism, never felt anything negative about being Jewish. Went to Manchester University. There were some issues then with pro-Palestinian students and so on, but nothing that made you feel threatened, which is what I understand is the situation today. Like I have friends who send their children to non-Jewish schools and they have to hide the fact that they're Jewish, which I find horrible. But look, unfortunately, we're not in a very pleasant world right now. There's a lot of bad things going on in all sorts of places. But for me personally, growing up in England was absolutely fine, lovely. But I always had this dream to come and live in Israel, and I'm very, very happy that I chose to do that.
Right, that's interesting. So that was obviously ingrained through Habonim then, right? If you say in terms of non-Jewish school, family, traditional family, I'm thinking similar to me as well with my growing up. Was it, you think it was more through the youth movement?
Definitely, definitely. It had a massive impact on my life. And actually, I also worked for a number of years at Neve Shalom, which is a Jewish Arab village. I worked in fundraising there. And that was set up by David Broz's grandfather, Wellesley Aaron, his name is. He set up Habonim UK. So one time, actually, I saw David Brozer in a small concert, and afterwards I wrote to him and I said, I must let you know that your grandfather has had a huge impact on my life because I joined Habonim UK and also I worked in Neve Shalom for many years. And he said to me, like, quite a lot of people write to him and just say what an impact his grandfather had on them. So I'm one of those people. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And I'm sure he was happy to hear from you at the same time you felt that you had done your bit by saying that.
Yeah, he was really friendly, really nice. I think I just reached out to him on Facebook actually. But yeah, he wrote back to me. It was very nice.
All right, fabulous. So let's talk about Jacky in her young adult years then, getting married, Aliyah. Let's talk about that whole thing, the actual decision to make Aliyah. At what stage exactly was it? Where were your first roots set in the country and how were your first years?
So as I said, it's something that I always wanted to do. And I guess I was exceptionally lucky that my life partner also shared the same dream. And I don't even know if I would call it a vision. We just had a dream. And I think I was about 25 when we made Aliyah. And obviously, it was a very different Israel to what it is now. After our honeymoon, we returned to England. I think we worked there for maybe a year or so. And then we made Aliyah to Jerusalem, to the Merkaz Klita there. And I can still remember, and I still see myself looking up as we got to the car park. We had 13 suitcases, just looking up and just thinking, what on earth have we done? Like it just felt beyond crazy. And obviously, it was a different time then. So it's not like we didn't have mobile phones. When we wanted to phone home, we had to queue with everyone else with a phone card. It was so different. And in terms of emailing and being in touch that way, well, there was like a computer lab. There was a guy that ran it, and there was always a fight and a fuss to get onto a computer for 5 minutes. But we were really happy there, and we did all Panetzion, and we made many friends there who really became like second family to us. And we loved being in the Merkaz Klita, actually. We stayed for 11 months, even though we had the tiny, weeny little place. But we were, as I said, we were very, very happy there. And then we moved to what's called Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln Street in Rehavia. And there we had a two-room apartment. And because we'd lived in such a small place in the Merkaz Klita, we felt like we were in a palace. And I used to phone my husband from the salon, and he was in the bedroom. And it was a great place. Apart from in the winter, it was freezing cold. And when it was snowing, it was terrible. But it was a great place to live. It's a beautiful neighborhood. We used to love being around there. And then we moved once more when we were in Jerusalem. And then we chose to move to Modi'in, where we've been for about 20 years. We're really happy here. We really love the city. But when we moved here from Jerusalem, it was really bare. It was very hot. And I've never, to be honest, I've never felt so lonely in my life and confused. And I couldn't understand why we chosen to make such a move. I guess a bit like the Aliyah. But 20 years later, I can tell you that we're really happy. I really like the people that we have become friends with. We have a wonderful kila, a wonderful community. We really like where our kids are going to school. And it's a lovely place to live. And actually, we're fortunate. We live about a 10-minute walk from the center of town, which at the moment, because you don't want to go more than 10 minutes away from anywhere, is a real blessing. So we're able to walk in and if we want to get a drink or ice cream or whatever it is.
Firstly, I can identify with so much of what you've said because even though, look, you've been here 25 years, I've been 36 years, so there's a difference, but it's still, the country was at a similar stage. So I also remember absorption centers, pay phones, all this kind of thing,
Yeah.
and not having a community and then moving to a community. And as we know, community is so important here. And just for our viewers who are listening, you see a nice, smooth, edited journey here. When Jacky's talking about a 10-minute walk to a closer store in a time now where we're not venturing too far from home, in the middle of this recording, we actually did have an alert and a siren. Israel is at war right now. For those of you listening live, yes, you know about it, but this is going to be an evergreen recording. So when you listen to this in a month, who knows, or in 3 or 6 months or a year's time, just know that this recording is taking place during a war, and we had to stop and edit it because of the siren and having to go to the safe rooms. But as we say, I'm Israel Chai, and I think you'll agree with me that there's no better place to be. You probably wouldn't want to be anywhere else despite that. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm so grateful that we live here. I think we have, despite the difficulties, a really wonderful life. And I feel that we're giving something really special and meaningful to our children. And I'm really glad that I'm able to call Israel home. I really am. Like, despite all the difficulties, the war, everything, I guess if you were counting problems and social issues, there'd be too many for many hands. But there's something that's, I believe, very, very special here.
Well, I like to say there's something in
um,
the air. There's something in the
yeah,
air. And remember that the old country has its problems too.
that's also true. No, I agree with you. I really think living in Israel, it goes beyond the physical, it goes beyond the logical, but it's amazing. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful to be living here.
All right, fabulous. So now let's talk about the professional side. Share with us your work experience and how you got to develop Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen, how you decided to jump in there into the entrepreneur world. And as I say, I personally have already experienced the beauty of Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen. Before you go into it, I'll just share with our viewers. So I have a social impact project called Impact IL, where we teach real life skills and empower children, adults, social sector, the lone soldiers. So Jacky and I partnered just a couple of days ago with the wonderful organization called Jeremy Circle, a nonprofit that we partner with. And Jacky did an online cooking demo for a lot of these kids to brighten their days, empower them, make them feel more confident to do things and speak up. So I've already had the benefits, and I already have cooked the recipe, the 5 minute recipe that Jacky shared with the group. So now on that basis, let's go into what is Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen? How did the ideal start?
So I've got, it's not connected to the 5 minute thing, but I have 5 children. One is celiac, and another has serious milk allergies. He had psoriasis when he was younger, and he was advised to stay off dairy. And so making meals has always been a problem. And to be honest, I think even if you have 2 kids, you never have 2 kids that like the same thing. It's always problematic. And I felt very, at times, completely overwhelmed, if I'm honest. I guess just in life, in work, preparing meals, everything that you have to do on a day-to-day basis sometimes just felt almost impossible. But over the years, like, I've learned to manage it. I've certainly learned to manage the gluten-free thing. Like, we have bread and regular cereal in the house, but if I make a dessert, any main meal, everything's gluten-free. So if anybody chooses to join Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen, they'll know if they've got celiac in the family, they're fully catered for. Like, it's fully inclusive in that way. Anyway, I just decided, like, I realized that I had developed my own cooking method, and basically not to take too long in the kitchen, because I got fed up with trying an elaborate recipe or really investing my heart and soul into something. And then the kids just say, "Oh, I don't like it," or "Can I have chips?" Anything like that. Anyhow,
That's something that no mother wants to hear, by the way, and especially
no,
when
but
they have allergies or certain food issues, then that makes it even harder.
right. But like I say, over the years, it's got easier, and I felt like I'm much more in control of the kitchen. And I just felt like I wanted to try something different. My background's actually in fundraising, and I've worked in fundraising for many years for many different amutot, non-profit organizations. And actually, the last place I worked is a place called Yozmot Atid, which actually helps women who are in a difficult financial situation to take their skills and their talents and to be able to develop their own businesses so they can be financially independent. So part of my job, I was meeting with these women, I was hearing about these women, and I'd actually worked in fundraising, like I said, for many years. And I just thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice to do something totally different? And I thought,
And
what
I'm
can I
sure it
do?
also gave you the feeling it's possible.
Oh,
These women can do it,
completely.
so can I. There was probably like the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, I met so many inspirational, incredible women who really come from sometimes difficult backgrounds. And I don't know if it's too dramatic to say against all odds, but in a difficult circumstance, They're able to pull themselves up and to become financially independent, which is wonderful. Anyway, I developed this idea like, I want to do something. What can I do? What can I do that isn't fundraising? I've been sitting behind a computer and selling other people's dreams for a long time. And this
And
is
now
what
it
I
was
came
time
up
to sell
with.
your dream, right? To sell your
Yeah,
dream and to inspire and make a difference with your dream.
I think so. And honestly, since this has started, and actually it really started just before the war, I've had, I can only say, an amazing time, which again, it feels funny to say that because we're in war, right? But firstly, I really love and I believe what I'm doing. I really believe that families can have a better quality of life, a quality of time, if we stop wasting too much time worrying and faffing in the kitchen. I think it's an activity that you can do also with your children, or even if you want to do it by yourself is also fine. I'd see nothing wrong in saying to your child, look, just watch TV for 5 minutes while I'll prepare the dinner, bung it in the oven, and then you're free for another half an hour, 40 minutes, where you can do what you want for yourself or something with your children. And that's basically my philosophy. I want to try and help parents to regain their calm in the kitchen, to regain time for themselves, and to do it just by making simple, delicious, healthy meals in under 5 minutes. That's my thing.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. Firstly, we know that when you're passionate about something and you have a strength in something, so those are really primary ingredients for success in a business. Obviously, there's more, and you've seen it working with a lot of these women, that there's a lot behind it in terms of now your plan, your strategy, how you're going to move forward with it and everything. But the fact that you've got that and it's been a dream and you're solving a problem. One other thing that we know when business owners start a business is solving a problem that either people know that they have or that they don't yet know that they have until you bring in the solution.
I hope so. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm actually consulting with it's with parents mostly. My first client, she's a wonderful woman. She's got 3 children, really struggling in the kitchen, not knowing what to do, really feel overwhelmed. And she's super professional. She's amazing, wonderful mother, just struggling in the kitchen. Anyway, I did a session with her and it was brilliant. And I sent to her, she was my first client. I sent to her a form. She completed it with all the likes and dislikes of the family, what she wanted to get out of a session with me. Anyway, I created for her like a master plan, which was basically a week's worth of meals. And then I did an extra 2 for Shabbat because she's vegetarian and her family are meat eaters. I created it for her and I gave her not just the recipes, but I gave her the equipment. I created like golden rules for the kitchen, giving like tips and tricks how to make things easier. Anyway, I sent this all to her and she said to me afterwards, and this is what I love, and I guess this is my motivation as well. She says, you've completely transformed our lives. Like it's so different now. Like we're eating better, we're eating together. I'm not stressed anymore. I'm enjoying myself in the kitchen. Sometimes she sends me pictures of them eating their whatever meal it is. Like I didn't do it like Sunday you'll eat this, Monday you'll eat that. I just presented them with a week's worth of recipes and ideas that correlated with the foods that the family likes to eat and obviously what they don't like to eat.
Right, that's phenomenal. I'm so inspired by that. That's wonderful. So you actually, with your clients, you go to their houses, you go to their kitchens, or that's what you plan on doing. You've already done it now. You've started off. Your plan is to go to their kitchen because, as you've already seen, different people, you'll probably pick up a lot of tips just from how they're running their home and being in their house, not just copy paste. Yes, on the one hand, with groups, you can share different recipes, but you're customizing it to each client as well based on their needs
Yes.
and their kitchen and their facilities.
Yeah, I mean, with this particular client, I didn't go to her home. We had a conversation and then she filled in the form that I created for her. So I did it that way. But yes, I'm also offering a service where I'll go to somebody's home, I'll see how they've set up the kitchen and help them to reorganize so that it's logical, get rid of things that are just taking up space or aren't logically organized, and just to help them to create a better workflow for themselves so that they can enjoy being in the kitchen. Because it doesn't need to be a negative experience. It can be fun. It can be something that you do with music in your ears. I'm always dancing as I'm cooking because I've always got music playing because I love music. So it can be fun. It doesn't need to be like a taxing, awful thing. Plus, I really do believe there's a value, not obviously every meal, but to sit down together and to enjoy something together as a family is very valuable.
Right, for sure. And we know some people find that they have that only on Shabbat, and it very much varies on the family, the size of the family, professions,
Yeah.
different ages. No, that's wonderful. The fact that you're firstly giving your clients different options because people like to have options, and then also customizing it to them. Do you want to give us any tips, couple of tips that we can use in the kitchen? I know it's a very general thing, and some people may need them and some may need other tips.
Yeah,
Anything that you'd
sure.
like to say?
Okay, so I'll tell you my favorite thing, and it's a really basic thing, and maybe some of you are already doing it, I don't know. But when I cook and whatever I'm cooking, I always have, it's just a very plain stainless steel bowl on the counter that I use for all the rubbish rather than pouring it into the dustbin or having a bin next to me and then, or under the sink. And then, because when you're doing that, you're bending and moving. But this way, you just chuck everything into the bowl and then you throw it away at the end, and it just makes for cooking much quicker. So that in my mind is a really good and easy tip. Another tip that I like to give is if you like salad, for example, and salad dressings, either jam jars so that you can keep them for the next time, or what you can do is just take like a sandwich bag and put it inside a cup, create your salad dressing, shake it up, pour it over your salad, and then you've got no washing up. So
Right, that's
anything
cool. That's cool. In
anything that
fact, your
saves
first
water.
tip, by the way, your
Go
first
on.
tip, I saw you use that very idea when we did the cooking workshop together. And when I made your recipe at home, I also used that idea and I
Oh,
did it.
great.
And it was the first time that I'd actually done it. And I actually liked that instead of each time
Oh,
going
I'm
to the bin to
pleased.
throw it out. So it's something small, which a little tweak, which makes a difference.
I think so. And also, like the other thing is, if I make a recipe which requires cups, measuring cups, and so on, I don't believe like measure everything out before because then you have to create bowls and dishes to put everything in. And then that just adds to the washing up. So I really do measure as I go. And even if I have a recipe that calls for, say, half a cup of sugar and a cup of oil, I'll just use the same cup. Just just save on the washing up, like make life simple for yourself. And that's really what I'm trying to show and guide parents when I'm doing anything with Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen. It's all about making things easier for yourself. And that's really what I hope that I'll be able to share with people so that they can just relax, have fun, enjoy themselves, just have extra time. And I certainly can say in my situation with like with 5 kids, it's busy and everyone's busy. But if you have one, two, three, four, five, 20 kids, you're busy. So if you can make life a bit simpler by just simplifying your time in the kitchen, which is a necessity because everyone has to eat, then why wouldn't you do that? It's a
Right,
no-brainer
exactly.
to
So
me.
turning it instead of a chore, as you said, to actually just having fun and more quality time. Any particular favorite recipes that you have? Without sharing the entire recipe, unless
No,
you want.
sure. So I really do love the pâche dal, quiche, the quiche recipe that I shared on Jeremy's Circle because it is so easy. And actually, I was just with a friend, and she was actually somebody that I did a test run with. And just so that the viewers know, the quiche is very, very simple, but you can make it like a posh quiche. So she roasted vegetables and sauteed chard and leeks and all sorts of things and really jazzed it up. But the point is, it's super simple. And if you go the most simplest route, which is just to throw in either a tin of sweet corn or mushrooms or whatever you choose to like, I don't even think it takes 2 minutes, to be honest. It's so quick. So that's my favorite. Also, it's a real crowd pleaser. Like people really, really like it. So that's definitely one of my favorite dishes. And actually, I'm going to do another cooking session and I'm going to use that recipe again because this time I'm doing it in English. When I did it with Jeremy's Circle, I did it in Hebrew. So this time
Right,
will
which
be in
was
English.
another challenge, by the way, we'll share with our viewers, even though Jacky is, let's call her fluent, and she's been here 25 years. But yes, training and doing a workshop in another language can also be difficult, and you nailed it. You
Well,
nailed
I
it.
tell
So
you,
now,
you're really making me smile that you're saying fluent because I would never describe myself as fluent. My biggest challenge of being here is actually the Hebrew because I've always worked in English. My family is English and my kids hate me speaking Hebrew to them. So I haven't had like a wealth of opportunity or exposure to actually speaking it in Hebrew. But it's good enough. And so when you asked me to do this workshop and it would be in Hebrew, I was like, yes. But then I have to be honest, I practiced like mad with my daughter just to make sure that there were certain words like mixture, like when did I need to know the word mixture? So I learned the word for mixture in order that I could flow. And I'm really amazed and really surprised at how much I enjoyed doing it in the Hebrew.
And it
Even
was also very good. You've seen the recording, and it really came across very professional and very well.
I know, I must say, I have been saying since I did that, I can't believe it. I can't believe I did that. And my husband says I must have said that to him about 1,000 times because I really can't believe I did that. You know, when you talk about somebody jumping out of their comfort zone, for me, that was like a complete kamikaze out of my comfort zone.
I
But
was
I did
actually
it.
just going to use the same words, the
I
exact same
really,
words. And that's something that whether you're in business or whether you're not, just stretching ourselves beyond that comfort zone, doing something that we think we can't do. And then the confidence that it gives us afterwards, it enables us to achieve so many more things just because we did that one thing. So I'm a firm believer of that.
oh, yeah, no, me too. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it. I must say that it was one of the biggest, like,
Like
challenge, yes?
leaps, maybe
Yeah,
leaps and
yeah.
challenges. And
It
I'm
was a
so pleased that it was us that we were your guinea pig, let's call it that, right?
totally, and I loved doing it. I really, really enjoyed myself. And I'm just really grateful for having had that opportunity. And also because, look, we are in such a difficult time here right now, and people are forced to be at home. So I think if I can provide, and I feel that I did provide a bit of a breather and a different activity, something that you can do together that's fun, that's also online and on Zoom, then that was really great. I was really happy to have been able to do that.
Phenomenal. So we could carry on talking and hear lots of ideas, but we are coming to the end of our podcast. So share with us what Jacky's vision is for the future, for yourself as a person, yourself as a businesswoman now, as an entrepreneur, and you have to get used to saying that you're a woman in business right now with Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen. Where can we
That
expect you to head? What are you expecting for yourself?
So it's kind of hard for me to really give an honest answer for that because ever since I started this my business, so many things have spiraled that I never dreamt of doing, like doing the session in Hebrew. But what I would really like to do is I would like to do more sessions online, even when, please God, we're no longer in a war situation. I want to launch like a 5 day challenge where parents can join me. Like every other day, we'll be cooking a meal that they can serve and enjoy with their families, and I'll be teaching them how to create meals that they can use. The workshop takes about half an hour, but the truth is they'll learn to do something that they can do by themselves in 5 minutes. I'm also thinking about doing a series of eating around the world with Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen, where I'll do a series where we'll eat Indian, Mexican, Thai food together, like some other cuisines as well. Maybe I'll open an Instagram account.
Absolutely. You can certainly make all these videos and fast forward. And people say, we'll do the actual recording and get our kids or get outside help, social media help to help put the video together and make it fast forward and everything. For
Hopefully.
sure.
And I really hope I'll be able to help lots of people, mothers and fathers that are having a hard time in the kitchen or struggle with it a bit or just feel overwhelmed or that they say they don't have the time to cook. Well, I would say you probably do and can find the time to cook because I'm saying it's 5 minutes, right? So I hope that I'll be able to meet and help lots of families and help them to improve their quality of life and that they should be happier.
Absolutely. Well, you already have, so you'll continue. You've already started doing this, so you'll just continue with doing that. Jacky, how can people reach you? It's Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen, Jacky Sherman. That's Sherman. Do you want to give an
Okay.
email? They can
Yeah,
follow you on
sure.
social media.
Yeah, so actually just today, in literally in between the sirens, I went to a good friend and she helped me to set up my Facebook page. So if you look up Jacky's 5 Minute Kitchen on Facebook, you'll be able to find me. And there are all my contact details. I'd be really happy to hear from anyone who's got ideas, questions. I'm just building a community and it's really a fabulous journey, and I'd be very happy for anyone to join me on it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so happy that we've been one of the first ones to give you exposure. When
Thank
you
you.
become world famous, remember where your roots started here and with the siren in between. So,
Right.
Jacky, it's been a pleasure hosting you as our guest on the Monday Motivation Spotlight. I know for sure we're going to have contact in the future moving forward. So I look forward to that. I look forward to meeting you in person, and I look forward to seeing you growing and succeeding as a business owner.
Thank you. Really, thank you so very much for everything.
You're very welcome. Thank you to our viewers for watching another episode of the Monday Motivation Spotlight. I'm Lesley Kaplan. This is sponsored by Eggert & Cohen with thanks, as well as to Lali's Flower Boutique in Jerusalem. And if you've enjoyed it, if you've been inspired by Jacky and by our whole series, please do like us, comment on it on YouTube. It's on Spotify as well. And stay safe if you're in Israel. And we look forward to seeing you next week on the Monday Motivation Spotlight. Bye-bye.